right, everyone. Today we're going to take a look at some clips of Elon Musk's interview with Tucker Carlson on his TCN Tucker Carlson network recently. He says some interesting things, and with the recent video that we did with Elon Musk speaking at the Trump rally, and a lot of hype around him right now endorsing Trump. We're definitely, going to be following him for a little bit right now just to see where that kind of leads. And he said some funny things in the interview. I saw some, one or two clips online. So I thought it would be good to follow up with the Trump rally with him with this video. So let's take a look at this interview with Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk now.
Which is like nobody's even bothering to try to kill Kamala because it's pointless. What do you achieve? Nothing.
No, it's totally
just find
right.
another puppet.
Exactly.
It's no point in killing.
It's deep and true, though.
Nobody's trying to kill Joe Biden.
It's in,
It would be pointless.
Totally.
Whatever. 500 or 600 January 6 protesters in prison, and not one person on the Epstein client list.
Will that ever come out, do you think?
I think part of why Kamala's getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
That's interesting. So out of all the things that he could have said, and I'm sure it's a long form interview, so he probably did say a lot of things. I didn't see the full interview, so I don't know. But he is picking the Epstein situation. And it's interesting because he's basically saying, making an accusation that a lot of these rich, millionaires, billionaires, whatever, people who are part of big corporations are worried that if Trump gets elected, he's going to release the full Epstein client list. And on that list, you will see some of these well-known people, whether they're people who work for these big corporations that are concerned that their job would be on the line, not to mention their reputation, but maybe some of the heads of these companies, some of the founders or the people who actually, own it, their company. But he makes a good point. That list will be super revealing whenever it does come out. And it could have, we've already got snippets of it, and it appears that there are many, quote unquote, celebrities on it, people who are in the entertainment industry, actors and stuff like that, who are on that list. But, there are likely, and I think there were some on the list as well, but there are likely a lot of politicians. There are likely a lot of, people who are, well known. And there might even be some, who knows, at this point. This might have been too long ago before the internet was really at that point. There might even be some influencers, some people that that you follow on social media that you, thought were one type of person, but they could be on that list too. Not saying they are. It's probably unlikely because a lot of that stuff happened in the early to mid 2000s, and the people who were on that list are probably on there from pre-2010. So it's not that likely that there are influencers on there, but there could be a lot of people that we didn't see coming that are on that list. And we already got a snippet, so we kind of know some people who are on there, but to see the full list could be very revealing. And it would be interesting to see how America would receive that list. Because if you're on that list, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are a bad person and that you're doing bad things. But it's a clue. It's a piece of the puzzle, right? If you're on the list, so it's one thing to have met Jeffrey Epstein, right? You can't be held accountable for the people that you meet in life. You could have come across a serial killer and shook hands with them and had no idea that they were a serial killer. And then years later it comes out and you say, people say, oh, didn't you meet that guy? Yeah, but I had no affiliation with him. how could you be held responsible for something that you don't know, right? So it doesn't mean just because somebody met him that they are caught up in this trafficking situation. And I think that's important for, some of the more conspiracy minded people to understand. Just because somebody's name is on the list, that list is, I think it's just the flight log. It's the list of people who got on Jeffrey Epstein's plane and flew to his island. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's got a lot to do with that list. Um, so rich people all the time, especially when you're a billionaire and you're at that level where you're buying islands or you have a yacht and somebody invites you to their island. It's a different level. It's like getting invited to someone's house, and they live, in two neighborhoods down from you. You're looking at it that way. You're looking at it as, oh yeah, we'll gas up the yacht and I'll take it from my island to your island, or, we'll get on your plane and we'll fly from my beautiful home in Malibu to your, private island, because that's, rich people just look at that as like a normal trip. Um, so it doesn't mean that everybody's name that's on that list is caught up in the trafficking thing. It's a clue. It's a piece of the puzzle. What will be more telling is how many times someone's name appears on that list, right? If someone's been to his island once, that could have just been that they were invited to a party from some rich guy on a private island, and they saw that as, oh, great, I'm going to go to this awesome party on a private island. Why would I pass that opportunity up? In fact, most people probably wouldn't pass that opportunity up. If you took an everyday person who just works a regular, 9 to 5 job, and somebody says, hey, you want to come to a party on an island? Yeah, there'll probably be some suspicion there in their mind, but I guarantee you 9 out of 10 times, most of us would say, yeah, sure, why not? That's an experience that I would not want to pass up because, who knows, who I might meet or what kind of, events there might be, activities, what experiences, memories I might make. Even just being able to, say, hey, I've been to that island on the map. Like, people would probably not pass up that opportunity. It's how many times your name's on that list, right? If you're on it once, you went there one time for a party, maybe you felt, something's weird about this. This is, this guy's suspicious. Like Bill Gates' wife, Melinda Gates, said, and who knows if she's telling the truth, but she said it, so it's from the words from her mouth. We have to kind of take it as truth, unless you could disprove it. She said that she met him one time, and that right away she felt very creepy vibes from him, like he was evil. I don't know the exact quote, but she said something to that effect. So sometimes people just meet somebody once and say, I don't want to be around this person. They're creepy, they're weird, or they, just feel wrong, bad energy. No, thank you. So if your, name's on that list and it's on one time, it could have been that. It could have been that they got invited to a party by some rich guy or somebody affiliated with him. They decided to go and they, realized, you know what, something's wrong about this. I don't want to be here anymore. They left and they never went back. If your name's on that list countless times, or just many, many times, which some people are, I think it's even been noted that Bill Gates was on the list a lot of times. Then it's past just meeting a rich guy and going to a party. You're involved with this person. You're either involved with them in that situation that they got caught up in, the trafficking that he was found, accused and guilty of, or you are just, in this person's life, but you're in it enough where you probably could have picked up on some of this stuff if you're definitely not involved. And I think also Bill Gates' wife said that was a big reason why she left him, was because of his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, which means that he was involved to a significant degree, enough so that where she felt, I don't want to be with this person anymore, partly because of their relationship with this person who I feel is evil. I mean, that is a big, for a friend that you hang out with to have an impact on your divorce, highly unlikely, unless you're caught up in something that they're caught up in, which is not right, and your spouse can see that and doesn't want to be any part of it. I'm not accusing and saying that that's exactly what the case was. I'm using the words from his wife's mouth and explaining the situation, breaking it down and saying it could be that he was caught up in that. Who knows? Bill Gates, caught up with Epstein in the trafficking situation. Who knows? We won't know until everything comes out. But the fact that Elon is saying, when that list comes out, if Trump gets elected, and it will when he's elected. If he's not elected, it might not ever see the light of day. But if he is elected and it comes out, there are going to be people on that list that do not want their name out there and caught up in that situation. So they are trying to save their reputation and possibly even avoid getting in trouble for that stuff. So they're going to do everything they can to donate and give to Kamala Harris what she needs, the resources that she needs in order for her to get elected so that that list never sees the light of day. That's what it sounds like he's saying. So that's that clip. Let's continue a little bit more.
You're fucked, dude.
I'm fucked. If he loses, I'm fucked.
It does seem that way. You can't just be like, yo,
Yeah, I'm like, how long do you think my prison sentence is going to be? Do you think? Will I see my children? I don't know.
because it's not like you can say, well, yeah, I maxed out to him, but you know, I
have no plausible deniability. No, and I've been trashing Kamala nonstop.
Oh, I know.
Well, the Kamala puppet, I call it. You know, the machine that the Kamala puppet represents.
Yeah, she's irrelevant. I mean, she's not even.
No. I made a joke which I realized I deleted, which is like nobody's even bothering to try to kill Kamala because it's pointless. What do you achieve? Nothing.
No, it's totally
just find
right.
another puppet.
Exactly. That's
It's no point in
it's deep and true, though.
Nobody's trying to kill Joe Biden.
It's
It would be pointless.
Totally. You actually put that up?
Yeah. Now, some people interpreted it as though I was calling for people to
Of course.
assassinate her, but I was like, no, even I was like, doesn't it seem strange that no one's even bothered to try?
It's not worth it.
I mean,
There's an endless supply.
Yeah, like nobody would. It's absurd.
It
Like,
could be anybody.
Yeah. Nobody's gonna try to. Nobody tries to assassinate a puppet.
Of course not.
A
marionette.
Yeah, marionette. It's just like,
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
What?
She's safe. Like, I like to try to kill Trump twice with actual guns and bullets.
So I see that they're laughing and they're having a good time. And obviously, they seem like they're friends. They've met before. Tucker's interviewed him before. So they clearly have some sort of a relationship. And you can tell, they're just trying to have a good time. Sometimes when you're on camera or when you're in a room full of, everybody staring at you because you're the center of attention, sometimes you just want to be loose and fun and, have a good time, make light of the situation. So that could be part of the reason why they're, being so loose and joking around. I think a lot of people took, this clip the wrong way, like, oh, they're making fun of, people, Kamala Harris being a puppet and how, they'll take her out and, whatever. I think they're just trying to, the people who are, saying that about this piece of the interview, trying to say that he's like inciting violence against her or something like that, which is laughable because the mainstream media has done nothing but, incite violence against Trump for the last 8 years. And it's only, increased a lot during the elections, both around 2020 and this one. And that's not what they were getting at. He was pointing out that she's like the ultimate Manchurian candidate. She is like the, Biden, in a sense, was a puppet because he could be controlled by the establishment, but he was only able to be more controlled as he got older and we got closer to this election because he clearly has cognitive decline. He clearly is not, mentally there because he has dementia or whatever is wrong with him mentally, that he's, not able to speak in public. We never see him. He doesn't, act like a leader at all. It's all because he has a, cognitive decline. He's not who he used to be years ago. He's not in control of himself. So he's being handled by people around him, his wife and, other politicians and people in his, sphere. So he was like a puppet in many ways, but he also had, every once in a while, you could see when he tapped into old Joe, the person who he once was, he would fight against what they were trying to push him to do, like towards the very end when he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to get out. He wanted to be the president again and continue on that journey. It's clear the Democrats, and other people around him forced him out. And there was definitely a battle there. Like you could see him and his wife and the people that were closest to him didn't want him to leave because they didn't want to, relinquish that power. That level of power of being the president is huge. So they put up a lot of resistance. And you could see it on the news. You could see it with politicians telling him, publicly on TV and stuff, he has to step down. He has to leave. He's just not there anymore. They started finally admitting that he has some sort of cognitive decline. And him and his team would fight it and say he's not going anywhere. And then finally, they gave in, but they controlled him like a puppet in many ways too. But he fought back a little bit because he still was at one point, independent to some degree. Kamala, as far as everybody is saying about her, who's close in her life, who knows her personally, who's met her and dealt with her. And also you can kind of see it with people, the way they act in public and on camera and stuff. You could sort of get an idea, glimpses of who they are. She very much seems like a simple-minded person who just wanted to seek power and control. And so people who are intelligent and have power will use that to turn this person into like a Manchurian candidate type person and puppet them around until they, achieve their goal of whatever it is they're trying to do. But now they have this person where they're pulling their strings. They can make them do what they want, say what they want. And, they're really the ones that are in power, but it looks like the person that's in front of you is in power. And so, they're basically saying she's like the ultimate Manchurian candidate. She is just a puppet up there being told what to say and do. And she goes with it because she, allegedly she wants the power, the notoriety, the fame, whatever it is that comes with that stuff. But that's what all people seek in life when they try to attain these worldly things. Everybody wants, on some level of power, money, fame, control. Because, everybody kind of wants to feel like they are their own God. And some people take it way further than others. The average person would probably want that on a very small scale, just in their personal life. They want to feel like they control their own personal life, their day to day, what they do, where they go, the freedom to just do what they want because they want to feel like they're in control of their selves. But some people seek control other people. That's what they want. They want to be able to control, a town, a district, a country, a nation. Maybe the whole world. But either way, especially people in politics, they seek that same thing just on a higher level. And some people are willing to be a puppet to get there, right? It's an exchange. If you, want me to do what you want me to do, I'll do it, but you got to give me this and this and this, and then I'll just happily do it. Some people are a little bit more outspoken and vocal against how much they do, how much they allow themselves to be a puppet. And some people are, not. They're willing to just do whatever anybody tells them to do as long as they can have a couple of things that they truly desire in life. And, they're basically kind of saying that's how she is. She's like a Manchurian candidate. She'll do whatever you want. She'll be a total puppet as long as you just give her these few, things that she wants for herself. Whether that's, fame, money, power, whatever she desires, we don't know. But that's kind of what he's explaining her to be. And it does sort of ring true. I mean, you do see the way that she is. She's not a leader like Trump, and she doesn't really seem informed on many issues or have a plan to actually handle problems in our lives. She just seems like she's going with the flow and doing whatever it is she's told to do. And you could even go back and look at some of the stuff she said in the past and see how it doesn't align with the stuff that she says today. And it's okay for people to change their mind because we grow as people and sometimes we learn things that we didn't know in the past. And now we, have, knowledge and wisdom that we can change our mind.
I think part of why Kamala is getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes. And Gates.
and Gates. And I only ask that because you just look at them and you're like, that's a nervous person right there. I don't know. I assume you know them. Yeah.
Yes. Reid Hoffman was my vice president of business development at PayPal.
Yeah.
24 years ago.
Does he seem nervous to you?
Yeah, he's terrified of a Trump victory.
Because of the disclosure that would follow?
Yeah, I think he's certainly ideologically not aligned with Trump anyway, but I think he is concerned about the Epstein situation. Something might actually, the DOJ might actually move forward.
There are a lot of videos, apparently. Those rooms on the island, and I think out in New Mexico, were wired for video. And
where's the video? Between Diddy and Epstein, there's probably several thousand hours of footage here.
Yeah. It's weird that the people on those videos are lecturing the rest of us about our moral failings, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird.
What is that?
Part of how they deflect attention from themselves is by criticizing the morals of others.
Yes.
It's like a preemptive moral strike.
Yes.
As I said, I think those who are saying Trump is a threat to democracy are themselves actually the threat to democracy.
It feels like we're getting to a place where the rest of us know too much. Do you know what I mean? It's easier to live in a society where you don't really know what the people in charge are doing or why they're doing it. But now, thanks, I would say, largely to X.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say that.
Yeah.
We do know a lot. Not everything, but we know a lot. And I wonder, what happens next now that we know all this? The kidnapper's shown us his face. What happens?
I think if Trump wins, we can do some house cleaning and shed light on things. All the X platform does is adhere to freedom of speech within the bounds of the law.
Yes.
And if people want to change the laws, they can change the laws. And it's like X in different countries, the censor in countries where censorship is the law. We don't try to push American laws in other countries, but we do try to stick to the law in any given country. That's what we're doing. We open source our algorithm. We try to be as transparent as possible. But to those who want to push lies, obviously hate truth and transparency.
Yes.
Because it shows them to be liars.
Yeah, that's such a good point. So, look throughout history, and this has been said before, I think, either by Tucker or Elon, I'm not sure. But there's a reason why freedom of speech is the First Amendment in the Constitution for America. It's because without freedom of speech, without the right to speak freely to each other and publicly, you cannot have freedom. It's impossible. You could have all your guns. You could have, all the laws on the books in your favor. But without freedom of speech, you just can't have freedom completely, right? You have to be able to at least freely exchange ideas. And all ideas and all speech needs to be protected. Just because somebody disagrees with you doesn't mean that, they shouldn't be allowed to say that, or, vice versa. We have to be able to have that fundamental right. It does start with, speech, right? And speech is like a gateway drug. It leads to action. Thought leads to speech, speech leads to action. So the tyrants will always try and take speech away from you, because if they could take that away from you, they take away the fuel for the fire, right? They take away the motivating force to get people into action. It's exactly what people do in every facet of life, right? You run a business, you sell people on the dream and the vision of the business with your words, with your speech, and then they go and take action and put that into reality. If you have a nonprofit or you're an activist or somebody like that who believes in some sort of cause, you need to be able to speak and communicate that to people so that they can join you on that cause, and now you can go take action. It seems so simple, and it seems like, everybody knows this, but there are so many people that are pro-censoring speech today that they must not know it. They must not get it, or they do, and that's the type of society that they want to live in, one where everybody is suppressed and everybody gets treated the same. And I think people think that have that type of mindset, especially like a communistic mindset, if everybody's treated the same, everybody's equal. No, everybody won't be equal, because there will always be somebody at the top who is controlling those people, right? So all you're doing is dividing the world up into two classes: the peasants who are poor usually, and the rich controllers. Um, and that's it. It's basically the gods versus the people, right? Um, so freedom of speech is so important, and it's nice to see, but also scary on the same hand. It's nice to see there are a few people who are standing up for free speech and challenging the big platforms, to be able to give people a voice when those other platforms are censoring their voice, like Elon Musk with X, how he transformed Twitter. That was a huge investment, and that was a huge gamble on his part. And I don't even think at this point it's profiting yet. But he sees how important speech is, especially in an election year. Um, we have to be able to tell the truth. We have to be able to communicate freely. It's nice to see, Chris Pavlovsky, I think his name is, who owns and runs Rumble. And the other guy, I forgot his name, he has Telegram. So there are a few platforms that, and there's more than that, but there's a few of the top ones that are doing well, that are fighting for free speech and going up against the, big corporations that are trying to control our speech. The scary part is, I think the owner of Telegram, he was arrested in another country, and then the owner of Rumble just recently fled, I think it was England, because he had feared that he would be arrested. So they're coming after these people now. But think about what they're coming after them for. Literally just for giving people a voice, right? Giving your everyday person a voice. If that's a crime, so basically, if someone is suppressing speech, just know that they're the bad person. They're the evil one. If you have to pick a side, not everybody likes to pick sides. Sometimes you just want to be neutral, but sometimes we have to pick sides. And at the end of the day, we all do have to pick a side. Either we're going to be on the side of good or the side of evil. There's no middle ground. You can't hide from those two choices. But if you have to pick a side, you're going to want to pick the side that is allowing everybody to have free speech, because the side that is suppressing speech is the evil side. Just look back throughout history. Every single time someone tried to suppress speech, they were the bad guys. And think about it this way, right? Because a lot of people like to use this point, on the internet as like a punch, like a jab or a knockout blow, where they like to say the word Hitler and throw Hitler out there. Hitler suppressed speech. One of his main things was he fought against freedom of speech because he didn't want people to be able to, incentivize people to go against his regime, right? So if you are against free speech, you are on the side of Hitler. You're on the same side of Hitler, right? So for all those people who love, throwing the Hitler out there and quoting Hitler, and or at least, using it as like a jab, a lot of people like to say Trump is Hitler and stuff like that. Trump's not suppressing free speech. He's fighting for it. Elon Musk is not suppressing free speech. He's fighting for it. Tucker Carlson and many of those other people I mentioned, as well as more, are fighting for free speech. The ones who are fighting against it are on the same side as like Hitler was, right? So just remember that as a voter. And remember that if you're the type of person who constantly throws that Trump is Hitler jab out there. If you're on the side of suppressing free speech, you are on the same side as Hitler. So mull on that.
You look at that, like how outrageous it was that Kamala in the presidential debate kept pushing the Fine People hoax. They know the Fine People hoax is false. Trump would never support Nazis in Nazi rally. It's absurd. And he explicitly said that in that same speech that you must condemn anyone who has Nazi tendencies in the strongest possible terms. And yet, despite knowing that to be false, the people who wrote the speech for the Kamala puppet put the Fine People hoax in the presidential debate, deliberately lying. Again, mess up.
If she wins, how can they let X continue in its current form, in its current role in American society?
They won't. They will try to shut it down by any means possible.
What do you mean by any means possible?
Either they'll try to pass laws, they'll try to prosecute the company, prosecute me. The amount of lawfare that we're seeing taking place is outrageous. There are many examples, but the Department of Justice, for example, launched a huge lawsuit against SpaceX for failing to hire asylum seekers.
Come on. Yeah, asylum seekers?
Not asylum, those who were granted asylum seekers. There's also a law called International Traffic and Arms Regulations that because SpaceX develops advanced missile technology that can be used in nuclear ICBMs, that we have to be very careful with who we hire. We can only hire someone if they're a permanent resident or a citizen. That's what the ITAR law says. Then there's another law that says that you cannot discriminate against asylum seekers. So we're damned if you do, damned if you don't. The DOJ did a massive lawsuit against SpaceX for failing to hire asylum seekers, even though it is illegal for us to hire asylum seekers under ITAR law. This is an actual thing that's going on. And they can only do a fairly small number of lawsuits every year. So why did they pick this one?
Because you max.
Yeah, lawfare. It's like that famous quote from Beria, Stalin's chief torturer and head of the secret police. Beria said, "Show me the man and I'll show you the crime."
Exactly.
We have so many laws that it is actually impossible to do business, impossible to operate without being some law, because you have laws like the ones I just gave you where both things are illegal.
Yes, they contradict one another.
They contradict one another. It's illegal to discriminate against asylum seekers in jobs, but it's also illegal for us to hire asylum seekers.
But it discredits the law.
They just chose one. They chose the one law and ignored the other one. And the Department of Justice at federal level prosecuted SpaceX for that.
What do you think?
So that's such a good point that he's bringing up, and that's really what lawfare is. It's basically just saying we're going to make up whatever we have to make up, put pen to paper, come up with a law or an executive order or whatever, and say this is what we're going to use to achieve the goal of what we want to do here, right? So if they want to shut down, SpaceX or X or whatever other things Elon's working on, they're going to use lawfare to accomplish that goal, just like they went after Trump in New York with lawfare to, basically conjure up something that everybody knew was BS, was nonsense, and they had no proof. They just made it up. This is how they're going to strong-arm people if and when Kamala gets in office, who opposed them during that time. So Elon Musk, first of all, is taking a huge risk, and he, people could say what they want about him, but it takes tremendous courage to back Donald Trump during this time. It also is going to be seen as prophetic in the future, but it takes tremendous courage, because not only did he invest like $40 billion into Twitter when he bought it, cleaned house, it's not profiting nearly what it was, and he's getting attacked constantly because of, allowing people to have free speech on there for the most part. Not only did he take that financial investment risk, he took a investment risk in endorsing Trump, because they will come after him for everything he has and try and destroy him, destroy his reputation, destroy him financially, whatever they can possibly do to take this man down for standing up against them, because that's what tyrants do, right? Tyrants want to squash you like a bug when you stand up against them, to set an example to other people so that they know, don't you ever stand up against us, otherwise you will get squashed too, right? So he's taking a risk in that regard, but he's right. They're going to use lawfare. And this is the problem with, the laws that are currently on the books. This is why we're always supposed to use the Constitution as our foundation, right? As our guide to go back to and reference. And when Congress tries to pass a law, they have to cross-reference it with the Constitution and see if that can even be a law. If it contradicts the Constitution, by default, it's null and void. It cannot be a law, even if it gets passed. But they're not following that today, because they're basically suspended the Constitution and saying it's not the law of the land anymore. It is, and it always will be as long as the people fight for it to be, right? But it comes down to us. We have the power, and we have to, do what we have to do to get the elected officials that we want in office so that they can represent us in the way that we see fit. And one of the biggest ways and the most important ways is for them to defend the Constitution. And that should be the number one thing that we have in mind when we vote certain people in office. Are they going to defend the Constitution? And if not, then, don't vote them in. But a lot of these laws on the books, like he said, they are contradictory to each other. Number one, they don't even, they don't align with the Constitution, so they technically can't be laws. But number two, you'll have two conflicting laws. One will say you cannot hire an asylum seeker because they're a risk since they're not permanent residents with nuclear products, like Elon mentioned. The other one will say, well, yes, you can because we have a political agenda that we're trying to get through, and we're going to use the asylum seekers in order to achieve that goal. So now we're going to put pressure on you to do this. But, sometimes too, that could be seen as like a setup, right? If he does it, then he's violating one law. So they could get him on that law. But if he doesn't do it, he's violating the law that they're trying to put into, place now. So you kind of, at some point, like I said in previous videos, you have to have a hill to die on. You have to be able to stand up to tyrants and say no. And if enough people do that, the government's outnumbered a lot to one, right? There's only a few million people that are actually working the government, but most of those positions are low-level positions. They're not positions of authority. So the amount of people that are actually in positions of authority in the government nationwide is probably less than 1 million people. There's like 330 to 350, who knows what the actual estimates are, based on how many people are here now. Million people, 330 to 350 million people in this country that are Americans, that live here, permanent residents. We outnumber them a lot. So if we just stand up and say, no, we're not, following these laws, and then fight that in court or in whatever way we have to lawfully, not, go out on the streets and do anything stupid, but instead, fight it the right way, lawfully, defend, your rights, then if enough of us do that, there's nothing they can really do to us. We have to stand up for what we believe in, be willing to die on a certain hill, for the sake of our lives, our freedom, and our children's freedom. But if enough of us stand together and do that, there's nothing that they can do to us. That's the beauty of what the founders had set up, right? That was the beauty of it all. They gave all the power to the people, but they basically said, you have the power. If you do nothing with it, someone will take it from you. But if you do something with it and defend it every day and continue to educate yourself, continue to be knowledgeable, and know what it is that what your rights are, what you have in this document, the Constitution. If you continue to uphold that, no one can take that power from you. But if you give it all away to people because you're lazy and you don't want to do the work, they will take it from you and you will become a slave again. See, that's the catch-22 with America. People call it an experiment. It's not an experiment. It's not an experiment. The founders gave the power to the people, and that's it. This is a new way of life. The people got lazy and gave that power back. And now we're looking around saying, what happened to America? What happened is people got lazy. They got more caught up with nonsense things like, watching football on Sundays when they should be going to church, or playing video games or watching too much TV, being on your phone too much, all these distractions when you should be spending your time educating yourself, learning, gaining wisdom in life, experiences, then teaching all that and passing it on to your children and, giving them a foundation that they can, build on, right? That's what we should have been doing with our time, not wasting it, doing nonsense things. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not against all that stuff. Doesn't mean you can't watch TV every once in a while. It doesn't mean you can't, sit down with your spouse and watch a movie and just, have a nice date night together. It doesn't mean that you can't, go out, to the park and have a picnic for the day, or take time away from always being in like a learning mindset or a work mindset. Of course you can. We have that right too, the freedom to be happy and the freedom to enjoy life, right? But we should really take more time every day to be learning and growing as people and to be building on top of what our founders gave to us. We got lazy and now we're losing it all. But we can fight back in a very nice, clean way without having a war. We can fight back by taking back the control, taking back the power from the tyrants, by putting in the work every day to educate ourselves, to stand up for what we believe in, and then to pass that down to our children. And that's really what everybody's goal should be to do. And it starts with things like as important as less than 30 days voting for the person in this election who's going to, hopefully help, turn this country in the right direction. Whether you believe that's Kamala or Trump, that's up to you to decide. But there's been enough information and evidence out there, to sway you one way or the other. And whatever you choose, like I said in previous videos, whatever you choose is what you're going to have to live with. And there's no going back. You can't, go back into the past. What's done is done, right? So do your best to, vote the right way in the election. But we're not going to watch the whole thing. And this is really more of a clip that someone else put together. It's not the full interview sitting down with the two of them. But it is interesting to see some of the stuff that he says. And you could tell that he realizes the risk, but he also realizes the risk either way. Elon's a smart guy. He calculates things in a way where he weighs the pros, and you could tell he weighs the pros and cons, and he probably saw at this point, I either have to endorse Trump or stay out of this completely. But either way you look at it, if Trump loses, he's in trouble. If Trump wins, great, but it's still going to be an uphill battle for him. But he probably saw that no matter what, if I don't endorse Trump and I don't endorse Kamala, even me just sitting on the sidelines is already getting hit left and right from the government because they want to take me down. They don't want me to have this type of power and control. They want to be able to control me, and they don't like that I have a free company. They want their hands in my pockets, like they do with a lot of companies in America. There's a lot of collusion with the government and corruption that goes on, and everybody, quid pro quo, and everybody washes each other's back or whatever. That type of stuff happens a lot in this country. A lot of politicians have their hands in the pockets of corporations and vice versa, where the corporations, donate, to the politicians to get what they want. But it seems like Elon, for the most part, is kind of operating independently. Yes, his company's big and it's publicly traded and he does have government contracts, but he seems to be making his own decisions. And he probably got to a point where he realized, if I don't do this, I'm going to lose all my stuff anyway. So I might as well take the gamble. And then if he loses, I lose it. But at least I stood up for something and I tried. And if he doesn't lose, we have a fighting chance. But if he doesn't lose and I didn't do anything, they're still coming after me now anyway. So I might as well do something. And you can take a lesson from Elon in that sense that he has everything, right? He has the world, technically. He's the richest man in the world. And he's willing to throw all that away because he realizes money can't save him. Power, fame, all that stuff can't save him. He doesn't have the ability to stand up alone to the tyrannical force of the government, especially our government, which is the biggest in the history of the world. He has to do something. So, fight, like he said, fight, because he was quoting Trump at the rally. Fight till the end, but at least do something. Give it a shot, right? So if you're the type of person that's sitting home thinking, what can I do? I'm just one person. Well, even though Elon Musk is rich, he's just one person too, right? He's standing with someone else, Trump, and also the American people that are pro-Trump, that are part of that MAGA movement. Do something. If you don't want to see, this country go in a certain direction, do something. Stand up and fight for what you believe in. And at least you can go home at night, go to sleep, put your head down on the pillow and sleep well, knowing that you did your best, you tried hard, and you can look your children and your wife or spouse or whoever in the face and say, at least I stood up for what I believe in and I gave it a shot, even if you don't win. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter because God will have the victory in the end. But you can at least do something and take action now. Don't just sit behind on the sidelines. I think there's a lot of people too that are caught up in a lot of these like conspiracies and Q and this and Telegram and all that stuff. And they, are thinking that Trump's like this covert op and he's going to save the day. And so they're just going to sit around and wait for him to come rescue them. Trump is not God. Trump is not Jesus. Trump is not going to save the world, okay? He's just one man who, if he wins this election, he could do certain things to turn the tide and then put us in the right direction. But we, the people, are the ones who have the power, right? We're the ones who are supposed to control this government, and we have the power first, and then the government. we hand to them whatever power we can't control because it's national, right? But or district wide, whatever. But we have to hand that power to them. All other power is reserved to us, the people, right? So do something about it. But don't just rely on Trump to get in office and fix everything. You have to take action in your daily lives. You have to take control. You have to take, and it starts with your life. It starts with your sphere, your little world. Start there. Do what you can. And then, vote the man in and see if he will help change things, push things in the right direction. But either way, if he wins or doesn't win, you still have to take action. You can't just sit back on the sidelines. Americans were never meant to just kick it back with our feet up, reclining on the beach, having a drink, living like this luxury life. That's not real life. And no one deserves that. Everybody has to do their fair share here. The economy is made up of all of us working together in our own ways and, fueling this bigger engine, this bigger machine that is America. But you don't have the right to just, live some stupid, lavish life of a fantasy of, relaxing and other people do your bidding for you. No, we all have to do our share. And that, goes for you as well. Don't just sit home and expect someone else to do your work. You have to do it too. There's no easy life. It even says in the Bible, do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Don't pray for an easy life. You shouldn't want that. And this life is not going to be easy, nor does anybody deserve an easy life. We all have to do our share. Okay. So go out there, vote in November, but then take action in your own personal life. Don't just rely on someone else to save you, like a person, a human. Jesus is the only one who saves. Don't rely on Trump to save you. Just vote for him in hopes that he does the right things when he's in office. But he's not God. He's not Jesus. He's not a savior. He's just a man doing a job like all of us. Okay. And that's coming from somebody who is pro-Trump and hopes he wins this election. But just don't get caught up in all the conspiracy hype and all that nonsense. Just do your part in life and hope for the best, pray for the best. All right. That's it for this video. All right, everyone. I just wanted to take a quick moment here to show you my children's book. Don't forget to check it out today. This is Little Boy Full of Love. And this is a quick sneak peek on the inside. So that's Little Boy Full of Love, a children's book that I wrote. I wrote that book for my son. It's a great book, got a lot of wonderful life lessons in it. Definitely worth the read, definitely worth the, purchase to read to your children, or even if you want to gift it to somebody, it makes a great gift, especially with the holidays coming up soon. Christmas is only a couple of months away. So definitely check this out as a gift for somebody, who has kids. But it's available right now on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, bookshop.org, a lot of different online websites. But more importantly to me, it's available in a lot of bookstores across the country. It's available in, I think, about 15 or 16 different states right now and growing. We're all up down the East Coast, Midwest, and we're expanding out west. Might even have one or two in California as well. But definitely check that out on my Instagram. You'll be able to see on my Instagram page which bookstores it's currently in so that you can, go to that bookstore if it's local to you and buy it directly from them. A lot of them will even ship it to your house. You don't even have to go to the physical store if you don't want to, but it's just a good way to support local businesses, something that was always the backbone of this country and should continue to be. And we highly support and believe in small business in America. But if you don't or can't buy from a local bookstore, definitely check it out on our Amazon storefront. It's available on there right now. So check out the Amazon storefront, as well as a lot of other products that we use in our personal daily lives there. They're all organized in categories, so you can actually shop by category based on what interests you. But those are products that we really do use and we stand behind. Check it out on there, our Amazon storefront, and also the apparel shop. All that information will be in the show notes, as well as my bios on, Instagram, Rumble, YouTube, all that stuff. So check out the links there. And that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share all that good stuff everybody always talks about. It definitely helps the channel continue to grow, and I can keep putting out more content that hopefully is beneficial to you. So check all that out today. All right, stay tuned for the next one.